this morning. I would invite you to turn back to page 8 where the Il-Won-Sang Vow is, because I am going to be talking about that one more time. Just to catch us up on where the story is at this point. In the first stanza, we understand that the truth of the universe, the truth of ourselves, the truth about everything is beyond critical thinking. It must be discovered by other means. We also learn that Buddha nature, Il-Won, is in everything, everyone. It is the original nature of all Buddhas, enlightened masters, ordinary humans, and sentient beings. In the second stanza, we understand how the seeming duality of reality is non-dual, and how that plays out in the world, and then how it plays out in our mind. How experience leads us to forget our original nature and to take the phenomenal nature of our minds and the world as the only truth and the only reality, and that is how we stray from happiness, peace, and tranquility. That's where we are. So now what? And that's what the last stanza outlines for us. Therefore, modeling ourselves after Il-Won-Sang, the Dharmakaya Buddha, we unawakened beings vow to practice with utmost devotion. This last stanza can be very difficult. It's easy for my mind to create ideas and concerns and resistances to this. It's such a simple teaching, but it creates a lot of turmoil in the mind sometimes. The first one, for me, it's a semantic thing, but it's important to me, so I have to deal with it in order to embrace this verse. It is simply a translation thing. We unawakened beings vow to practice. I would rather say awakening, because if we are at our true nature Buddhas, we are to some extent awakened. And we are just in the process of further realizing that truth of our primary existence. So I prefer, in my mind, to substitute awakening beings for unawakened beings. So I know my true place in the world. It removes a lot of doubt, it removes a lot of judgment. It gives me a lot of grace and space to do what I do the best I can and be more effective and efficient in my practice. Number one. The next 3 lines about cultivating our minds and bodies perfectly, knowing human affairs and universal principles, and using our minds and bodies perfectly. That collectively is what the founding master calls the threefold study. That was that verse that I spoke of in the beginning of the service. I would like to just read from the scripture about cultivation, inquiry, and choice and action, the threefold practice. So, I beg your patience. This is all from the Principal Book of Won Buddhism, Part 2 Doctrine, Chapter 4, the Threefold Study. Cultivation of spirit. Listen closely to this, it's so simple. Spirit means that state in which the mind is clear, round, calm, and tranquil, is free from a tendency toward discrimination and a penchant toward attachment. That's something I can get my mind wrapped around. Spirit, my true nature is simply a mind that is free from discrimination and attachment. Cultivating means nourishing that spirit, which is clear and round, calm and tranquil, by internally letting go of a tendency toward discrimination and a penchant toward attachment, and externally not being enticed by distracting sensory conditions. So, cultivation of the spirit, meditation, in all its forms, sitting, walking, chanting, going about your daily life, timeless, placeless Zen, every moment is meditation, whether we recognize it or not. So all we're doing, no matter what form of meditation we're taking, is looking inwardly to see where are my points of discrimination, where am I making judgments and comparisons, and then, as a result of those judgments and comparisons, where am I saying this is good, that is bad, I like this, I hate this, I'm better than, I'm less than. That's all meditation is about. That's all cultivation of the spirit is. All these big words kind of distract from the simplicity of what we're trying to do. Look in, find those assumptions I'm making, find those ideas that I'm having that are creating attachments, discriminations. Inquiry. Inquiry into human affairs and universal principles. Piece of cake. I have to know everything about everything. I'll read this. Just let it glide. There's a lot in here. Let it glide. Human affairs means the right and wrong, benefit and harm among human beings. Universal principles means the great and small, being and non-being of heavenly creation. Great means the original essence of all things in the universe. Small means the myriad phenomena that are distinguished by their shapes and forms. Being and non-being means the cycle of nature's four seasons of spring, summer, fall, and winter, as well as wind, clouds, rains, dew, frost, and snow, the birth, aging, sickness, and death of all things, and the transformation of creation and destruction, flourishing and decay. Let it go. Inquiry means studying and mastering human affairs and universal principles. I could have spent my entire life chasing after each and every one of these little pieces of knowledge. But this isn't about knowledge. It's not about a squirrel running out to the end of every leaf on every oak to try to understand every acorn. It's about the squirrel running to the roots to understand the tree. So again, this is a look inward, because if we are all the same in our essence, if we understand ourselves completely, we understand everyone completely. And in doing that, we have complete compassion for everyone completely, because their struggles are my struggles. They may have a different flavor, just like Baskin-Robbins has 31 flavors, but it's all ice cream. Your ice cream and my ice cream. I don't like nuts in mine, you might. But it's still our ice cream. So, inquiry, while there are components of reading and listening and learning from the outside, there are limits to that. Real inquiry is digging deep inside and learning what's going on with me. What is it like to be me? Where are my attachments coming from? Where are my ideas coming from? Where are my judgments coming from? Are they valid? If not, can I let them go? Look at myself right now. Is what's going on pure? If it's not, let it go. That's all inquiry is. Finally, choice and action. Action means the functioning of the 6 sense organs of ear, eye, nose, tongue, body, and mind in whatever one does. Choice means choosing what is right and forsaking what is wrong. It's a big idea, but it's very simple when you take it moment to moment. And I like the fact that the Founding Master defines this in terms of our senses. It's all about what's going on in our mind as we touch the world with our senses. And using our equanimity that we've built through meditation and our wisdom that we've built through inquiry, we see clearly the functioning of our 6 sense organs and our mind in reaction, and we can, with clear mind and calm mind, choose the right action. I would also say for myself, I don't say right and wrong. It's not necessary to bring right and wrong into this. I would say, and it says this in other parts of the scripture, to do what I promise myself I will do, and to not do what I promise myself I will not do, assuming that my mind is clean and clear. Because we get into trouble. We may have a clean, clear mind at the moment, except we just, for whatever reason, can't do what we promised to do. I'm not going to eat at 10:30 in the evening. I have the right to remain silent, just not the capability. So that is the threefold study. It's really very simple. The vow, which is what this is, the last paragraph is the vow. We're simply promising that we will cultivate our spirit, inquire deeply into our minds, and then act accordingly on our equanimity and our wisdom. Kind of slang. So then it just gives us some nice things. If we do this, we'll progress rather than regress, and we will attain the great power of Il-Won and become united with the nature of Il-Won. Here's another part where I would change it a little for myself. I don't feel like I am uniting or becoming one with the nature of Il-Won. If that is my nature, what uniting is there? What becoming is there? I think of this as I become one with my true nature as Il-Won. I take it literally. I am Il-Won. And all I'm doing is looking inwardly and carving myself, whittling myself away so that I merge with my real true nature. It's inside. There's this old guy who used to whittle, and he would whittle these beautiful animals. And someone asked him, how do you find the bear inside that stick? And he said, oh, it's very simple. I just cut away everything that doesn't look like a bear. And that is what our practice is. We're simply whittling away everything that doesn't look like our true nature. We don't know what our true nature looks like until we've whittled away everything that's not our true nature. That is our practice. Plain and simple. So why is it so hard? You might ask. You might find. I certainly do. Right now in the book study group, the mind study group on Wednesdays, we are reading Zen Mind Beginner's Mind by Shunryu Suzuki. And he has something here that I think is just perfect for this. He says, we say our practice should be without gaining ideas, without any expectations, even of enlightenment. This does not mean, however, just to sit without any purpose. I firmly believe from my own experience that the primary obstacle to my practice is the ideas and expectations I have and come up with about practice, my practice, and myself. The good news is I have complete control over all those obstacles. I can find them, deal with them, and remove them. The bad news, it's all on me. I'm going to read one thing from the founding master that helps me with this. It gives me drive. It says, the vital force, and vital force really means Il-Won, or let me say it differently. It is marvelous existence. It is chi. It is that thing that animates creation and people, places, things. Vital force contains numinous awareness. That numinous awareness is Il-Won, our original spirit, consciousness. So, vital force contains numinous awareness, and numinous awareness contains vital force. Hence, vital force is numinous awareness, and numinous awareness is vital force. All of those things, whether with form or without form, animals, plants, all those things that run, all those things that fly, are caused by vital force and are manifestations of numinous awareness. The great nature is the non-dual unity of numinous awareness and vital force, the non-duality of consciousness and our physical nature. When I read that, it reminds me that we are always practicing whether we know it or not. One of the first ideas that people get, I had this idea a lot, I hear other people saying this, said, I don't have a practice. I don't practice. And this reminds me, oh yes, I practice. I may not think I'm practicing, but I'm practicing in every moment whether I know it or not. Because what I do is my practice. What I do in the world, what I do in my mind is practice, whether I recognize it or not. Thich Nhat Hanh says, my actions are my only possessions. Our actions are all that matter. We're always doing something or not doing something, which is also doing something. So, if we are always practicing, I feel like I need to take care of my practice. I need to be conscious that I'm practicing in every moment. So I try not to think of myself as saying, I have no practice. What I'm actually saying when I do that is, my practice is not what I wish it would be. There's something wrong with my practice. That's an idea I have. I get frustrated because now I'm not doing the right thing. I'm not a good person. I'm not a good practitioner. And so many of our ideas about ourselves and our practice create that feeling that I'm not doing it, I'm not good enough. It distances us from the truth that I am a Buddha. And that Buddhahood is available to me at any moment. So, over the next few opportunities I have to talk, I would like to talk about the three facets of practice with an emphasis on the ideas surrounding them and how they can be obstacles. Maybe give you an opportunity to think about how your mind is creating obstacles for your practice and how we might work together to eliminate those obstacles so our practice becomes more effective. Because make no mistake, if you lived long enough, you could become enlightened doing exactly what you're doing now. You're just not going to live long enough. So we have to find an effective, efficient way to practice, which the founding master says is the threefold study. So I'm going to leave you with that. And I hope to talk to you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody have anything they would like to say or ask?
So thank you so much. I mean, your talk was so clear and on target. So I'm grateful for your words. There's only one other element that I think is important to take note of, which is, in my practice as a psychologist, I'm aware that it's not just a matter of mind and discrimination and how things get discriminated. The way things show up in our lives is that there's an emotional reactivity. We tend to react emotionally with very strong feelings when things are either happening the way we want them to be happening or not happening the way we don't want them to be happening. So I find in practice with people that the prime, where you pay attention, where it shows up in terms of sensations and perceptions, if you want to look at sensory experience, it's about mindfulness being tuned into the body, and when you react emotionally, being able to use that moment to stop, to reflect, rather than get carried into behavior and do something that might be impulsive. So that moment becomes the opportunity for self-reflection and mindfulness And so that's the discriminatory opportunity in that moment as it arises, and being conscious of that, to my mind, is what mindfulness is.
Everything you say is true. There comes a point where the work that is done in meditation and internal reflection, which happens at times of rest. We have to set time aside for that because it can't be done during our daily activity. One would hope that as one does that, those discriminations and attachments begin to fall away and lose their hold, so the need for skillful means in the moment goes away. I could spend my entire life being mad when Desi puts that spoon in the wrong door, in the wrong drawer. I could even get to the point where I'm not mad about it, but I still say it's in the wrong drawer. I'm not there yet. That's the discrimination is still there. So practice gets us to the point where when that spoon is in that drawer, it's no longer the wrong drawer, and it passes without mindfulness being necessary.
Right.
And I think that's the push. That's
liberation.
That's the liberation. Yes, thank you. That's how equanimity is liberation. You are no longer restricted by a discrimination or an attachment. So that's one of our ideas. We fall in love with the skillful means because it's helpful in the moment, and we feel good. Oh, I caught myself that dang spoon. And it's kind of a letdown when you don't have it anymore because you're not aware that it's not there anymore, and it feels like nothing's happened. And that's true. That's the weird thing about it. Before you get there, it's a big deal. As soon as you get there, you forgot it was ever a big deal. There are a lot of things in our lives that happen that way. Think of something when you were a teenager that was huge. It's all you could think about, and then all of a sudden it means nothing. So, thank you, Barry. Yeah, each person has their own journey because it's a personal thing.
Yeah, there's that moment where you can become awakened. It's like instead of it being like the wrong thing or a bad thing or something that's an upsetting thing, it becomes an opportunity to pay attention.
And then it becomes nothing.
Yeah, it can. When it loses its power.
That is what will happen.
Yeah.
If you do it, trust. You don't have to believe me. You just have to start doing it and find out for yourself.
Yeah.
Another idea about practice.
Right.
If you think you know what's going to happen, or you have a goal about what's going to happen, it's not true practice. Practice is exploration. By definition, you can't know what's going to happen. I'm trying to explore myself. By definition, if I have any ideas about what I'm going to find, I'm not exploring. If you're going to go over that hill expecting a lake and there's no lake, have I wasted my life? If you go over the hill not expecting anything, when you see a fire hydrant, you go, oh wow, fire hydrant. No lake. So, anybody else?
I was telling our friend Becky here.
Don't trust her. Bad friend.
I enjoy all these talks. I said sometimes it seems a little philosophical, and I really enjoyed the story. And so when you said about the bear, it made me feel like as we grow, you just go like every 10 years, and then people change. So when you was thinking about the bear, it's like, okay, when I was this age, I saw an arm, and then and now I'm here, and the bear is almost like it's supposed to be, and then another 10 years it'll be a full bear, whether it's wood or stone or whatever, but it just made me feel like I'm still being creative.
Yeah, thank you. Carly.
Thank you so much, Brian, for your series of talks. They've been extremely helpful. I feel like you've made the teachings even more accessible and understandable in a way that's added depth. That's been just really beneficial for me. This question arose during your talk, and I hope it comes together and comes out of my mouth in an understandable way. So basically, we talk about this idea at the Mind Study about how we can try to make some sort of good action free, like quote unquote good action free of karma. But if we are in our own heads, if we're not acting out of our Buddha nature, then it might not truly be a good action. It might not have good results. You might say something to someone or do something for someone that's intended to be nice, but it's incorrect, and if there was some sort of condition that should have shown you that, you know, maybe it wouldn't have been good, but you missed it because you were in your head or whatever. I feel like I'm just spilling out my own trauma as I'm going through this, but essentially, how do we become, like, as an avoidant perfectionist, how do I just go into life trying to practice without feeling like, you know, fearing the implications of my actions, knowing that they're not always going to come out of a sound, present mind, that I am going to go into the world and make mistakes even when I'm trying to practice well. How do I do that?
Something comes to mind for me.
Okay.
So what came to mind for me as you were talking? It reminded me of my analyst over 50 years ago who told me how to stop taking myself so fucking seriously. So it helps you to lighten up, you know, and not be so fucking serious about, like, you know, making a mistake or looking stupid or, you know, kind of falling in your face, so that you give up the attachment, the ego investment. I find that helpful.
This is what I would recommend. And this applies to most questions that I have. Yeah, all questions I have. When I have a question, I don't seek an answer. I turn back in and I go, where's this question coming from? What attachment or discrimination or idea am I holding on to that creates this discomfort or dissonance that makes me have this question? That is where you will know, ultimately. I don't think anyone can answer your question. All you can do is dig into it and explore. Forget answers and explore. And what arises, arises.
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
I just wanted to say that this talk especially resonated with me. I'm currently a teacher at one of the lowest ranked schools in Philadelphia right now, so
Oh, come on. Don't be humble.
Yesterday, my day started with confiscating a razor blade from a student, and it ended with me breaking up a fight with multiple students. And part of that is trying to teach math to 8th graders who don't feel like they have a chance of getting into a good high school. They don't feel like they have a chance of making it in life. Is that I sometimes have to yell in my class, which I don't believe is my true nature as someone who yells at students. But the problem is, if I talk at a regular volume or even this volume, I can't teach my lesson because of how loud my students will be. So whittling the bear, this is my first year teaching. I've been placed in a school with totally new administration. I'm one of the brand new teachers where they got all new middle school teachers. And I'm slowly whittling that bear that I thought I started whittling during my student teaching. And I'm realizing now that I was simply picking out a log at that This talk especially resonated with me, and the part that hit the most was one of the first things he said about translating translating instead of unawakened beings to awakening, because it makes me feel hopeful. Maybe things are rough, but also the days go by real quick and I am learning. I am being awakened slowly. And this whole talk meant a whole lot to me.
Thank you. Yeah, I love that about picking out a log. We sometimes we don't know where we are in the process until we get into it. We go, oh, I thought I was quite a ways, and I'm not quite as far as I thought. That's been an ongoing thing for me. I look back over the last 10 years and go, oh my God, how could I be that person? How could I have thought those things? And that never ends. I thought it would, but no, it doesn't ever end.
I just wanted to go back for a minute to what Carly said, and sometimes that happens if you do something with good intentions. The thing is that we can't be in the other person's shoes who's receiving it, so we're not in control of how they receive it, no matter what your intentions were.
Yeah.
And so that's something that you have to remember as well, you know, like, oh wow, like I didn't mean to offend you or hurt you, I was trying to do something nice and apologize, and that's really all we can do. You know, like, we don't have control over anyone else. I am a teacher too, and every day I tell my kids, you have no control over what anyone says or does. You only have control over your own actions. And that's what you have. That's what you're working with. You know, you have a long way to go. I taught in Philly in a very, very, very hard school, and I would tell you that probably most of the kids that you learn with have had really hard lives. And so going into that and knowing that you start from your heart.
Okay, can all the teachers in the room raise their hands? Okay, there are a lot of teachers who are doing this practice because it tends to lead you in this direction for whatever reason. So there are people around you. If you want to talk, if you have questions, share.
Right on.
Jeff.
So I'll be really quick. I mean, one of the things that I think as teachers, and I think it really would be any job you would have, not necessarily being a teacher. I think as a teacher, you're dealing with younger people who they are in their minds all the time, and there's a lot of emotion that doesn't quite make sense to us in the moment a lot of times. And what I try to do now, and I'm not always successful with it, is really use that as a time to not match other emotions, because it's all around us all the time. That's been really helpful. That being said, this talk again comes at the perfect time, because I find myself this time of year, at the beginning of the school year, where you've got so many things coming at you, and trying to do a good job with limited resources, and taking it extremely hard because of the circumstances that you're in, and trying to pull yourself back from that is very, very difficult. I'm struggling personally right now because I'm seeing how I react now to what's going on, which is a difficult situation in my job. But I also see myself reacting to looking back into my past when I was even a little kid. And that same reaction I had over something else, I could put what I'm doing right now and put it in that bucket as exactly what I used to do. But it's so hard to, when you're in the midst of it, to pull yourself back from it. So that's kind of where I am right now. And that's why this talk right here, and all the teachers, because we're all kind of in the
Same boat at the moment.
Yeah, but it's right now I find it to be the best practicing ground, but it's so difficult. I think eventually the environment that we're in is going to be what's going to be the biggest teacher for us in our practice, if that makes sense. Just because you're dealing with so many people in so many difficult circumstances.
So as we talk about the threefold study in these next few sessions, we will talk specifically about the ideas that arise and how we can think about them and work through them to become more effective in each of the phases of practice. I invite you from this moment forward to start looking inward. When you have questions, when you have concerns, when you get worked up, just turn into, what's this? Where's this coming from? What's it like to be me right now, and why? It's all that it is. And to close out, because I got to get you out of here. Practice is like that big Thanksgiving turkey in the middle of the table. You want it. You can't eat the whole thing at once. Don't not eat because you can't eat the whole thing at once. Carve off a little piece and eat what you can eat. Eventually the whole turkey will be consumed. Just have faith. All right?
Thank you.